morning, I'm Rosalie. Each new year offers hope and new life experiences. Today will feature a unique form of communication through dance and the personal, intimate challenges of women diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer. And let's rethink drinking. Okay, so alcohol use disorders up. So planning your dream vacation in the new year may be the answer. All this when we return. Alcohol-related problems are among the most significant public health issues in the United States. Some people may have found they have increased alcohol use during holiday parties and get-togethers. And we've all watched the news reports of people in public fighting at airports or mall shootings, not to mention alcohol-related traffic crashes. Here to discuss why it's good to take a break from alcohol and recognize the signs of alcohol problems is Dr. George Koob, Director of the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism, and a world-renowned expert. And he's here to discuss dry January and recognize signs of an alcohol problem and ways to get help. Good morning, Dr. Koob.
Good morning.
Doctor, many of us find drinking and enjoying holiday parties with our friends and family. But most of us enjoy one or two drinks, and possibly just to help us de-stress and open up the conversation. But some people drink excessively before, during, and after the party. So how do we know if a friend or family member is suffering from alcohol use disorder?
So one of the earliest and very earliest signs is noting that a friend or yourself even, are making people uncomfortable with their drinking. And so that's early on. But to broaden that, it's impairment in social and occupational functioning, or the way I like to put it is, where you have deterioration in interpersonal interactions, or you're late for work, or you're not meeting work deadlines, or all of these things are related to alcohol, and those are kind of telltale signs that something's amiss.
Are some people considered functioning alcoholics?
The short answer is no. Because we don't know how they're functioning in all the domains of their life, and so they may be able to get in their car and get to work and go through the work day, but what we don't know is how they're interacting with their loved ones, whether they're shirking responsibilities with their children, whether they're sleeping poorly and getting progressively more and more irritable. I mean, these are the parts of, quote unquote, I dislike the term functional alcoholic, but because it implies that someone is actually functional, and they may be functional in only certain parts of their life, and that's, and clearly they're going to be dysfunctional in other parts of their life.
Holidays and the New Year can be very difficult for some people who are lonely or have some huge issues in their life, or deal with depression, anxiety, loss of a loved one, illness, or even a job loss. That all leads to heavier drinking. What have experts observed about lasting effects of COVID-19 on drinking rates and our health going on right now?
All the stressors you outlined that we've observed during the pandemic have only exacerbated the problems we have with alcohol, because negative emotional states is a driver for alcohol misuse, but it's also a driver for relapse for people who have an alcohol use disorder. We've picked up about a third of the population is actually drinking more during the pandemic, and those that are drinking more are drinking to cope with stress, and more of them are actually women, interestingly. And so, when you're drinking to cope with stress, you're on a slippery slope, because, the alcohol works for an hour or two, but when it wears off, these demons of loneliness and boredom and negative emotional state come back with a vengeance. And so you end up trying to fix the problem by drinking alcohol, and alcohol is actually making the problem worse.
Let's discuss dry January. That means not drinking any alcohol during the first month of the new year. And what benefits are that to taking this time off?
So dry January, we think is a great idea. And one main reason is that it allows you to reevaluate your relationship with alcohol. And so, the way I put it is if you're sleeping better, if your GI system feels better the next day, if you're re-engaged with better interpersonal relations, if you're back at work and really into some of your projects, I mean, your body and life are trying to tell you something, and you need to listen to your body. And so this is one way to start reevaluating, your relationship with alcohol.
Doctor, how can we help a friend or family member who has an alcohol problem?
Well, the first thing is not to be confrontational. That goes nowhere and backfires fast. The other thing to do is to, invoke a little bit of motivational interviewing and try and talk with them about how, if they don't drink as much or get into problems with drinking, how much money they might save, and maybe they can buy that new car even. You start adding up how much you spend on alcohol, it can be quite large, for example. The other thing is there are 2 websites that we have that will help people along the way that they can be referred to, and I'll mention those in a minute. But the other is, you can have individuals talk to their primary care doc, maybe about a physical. Primary care docs will pick up on problems with alcohol and maybe can start helping them along the way. So the 2 websites we have are, one's called Rethinking Drinking, the other one's called the Alcohol Treatment Navigator. And you can actually find a treatment facility in your locale by typing in your zip code with the Treatment Navigator.
All right, that's the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism. Thank you so much, Dr. Koob, for creating awareness of dry January and rethinking drinking no matter what month of the year, and the resources to recognize signs of an alcohol problem so that we can all have a healthier lifestyle.
You too, and thanks very much for the interest.
Nearly 1 in 3 people with early-stage breast cancer develop metastatic disease, the most common cancer worldwide, with over 2 million new cases diagnosed in 2020. But not all breast cancers are the same. Metastatic breast cancer, or known as MBC, is stage 4, and it cannot be cured. Those living with MBC will endure all kinds of treatments and appointments for the rest of their lives. Their experience is very different than people with early stage cancer. People living with metastatic breast cancer feel overlooked and ignored by breast cancer campaigns like October Pink, which tells a much different story. Those who live with MBC deserve to have their experiences heard and their everyday life with MBC communicated through unspoken stories. Now, a new digital platform developed specifically for women with metastatic breast cancer shares stories from real women brought to life through artistic performance. MBC Unspoken also offers support resources specifically for patients, caregivers, and support systems. Joining us to uncover unspoken stories about living with metastatic breast cancer is Oscar-winning director Cynthia Wade, who dedicated her career to directing documentaries that are on important social issues and a driving force in bringing these patient stories to light, including Jessica's story. Jessica is mother of 1 whose experience with MBC created new struggles with her body image that complicated the intimacy and connectedness in her marriage. Good morning, Cynthia, and good morning, Jessica.
Hello. Hello.
Cynthia, as a documentary, commercial, and film director and winner of over 60 film awards worldwide, You're no stranger to stories about cancer patients. What inspired you to take on this film that brings the reality of how life changes forever after being diagnosed with cancer?
This was a very exciting project for me to take on because it fused my two primary interests, one being telling stories about people living with very serious healthcare diagnoses, and then the second to bring it into a visual medium, in this case, stage performance. So to kind of bring those things together and bring it to an audience, that was exciting to me.
Why did you take on this sensitive project of metastatic breast cancer? Very difficult stories that are hard to communicate. And they focus on the unspoken topics such as intimacy, mortality, self-identity, and self-advocacy.
That's exactly why I wanted to take it on. I wanted to take it on because we have too many stories still around us that are more silenced, that they are unspoken, that they're under the rug, that it might be uncomfortable to talk about, it might be embarrassing to talk about. And so this was this opportunity to tell, like really truly give voice to the unspoken aspect of living with metastatic breast cancer. Jessica, she's somebody who's just amazing and fierce and is willing to talk about these incredibly hard issues like intimacy in the bedroom if you're living with metastatic breast cancer. Like, that was incredible to think about, wow, like she's going to speak about this and then we can figure out how to create a performance around that. That's what made it so exciting.
So Jessica, how did it change you after being diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer? How did your diagnosis motivate you to reveal the unspoken realities of living with metastatic breast cancer and bring your story to life?
Yeah, great question. So I was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer in 2019, and it's definitely intimacy and body image. They're not something that we've talked about, when you get diagnosed, or even honestly the years to come between you and your doctor, right? So when Cynthia and her team came up with this, opening up this dialogue, I thought, wow, what an idea. It's not something that I talk about with my girlfriends. I've been trying to open up with my partner. Like, I knew that I was called to this because I really want women like myself to feel less alone, especially being in your 30s. Like, you still want to feel good on the inside. You want to feel good on the outside. That's all kind of in question when you get this lifelong diagnosis. So I just knew I was called to do this so that I can really make people feel like, wow, I'm not alone in this fight.
This is powerful subject, Cynthia, featuring the intimate, personal story of Jessica. And all of her unique challenges and the insight that communicates her personal challenges and personal emotional view. Cynthia, you took this isolating, emotional subject to achieve and deliver this message of hope to your audience, and to help them grasp the emotional toll that it takes on a woman's life with metastatic breast cancer. I personally know through my sister-in-law's life experience and how frightening this toll was on her and her son. And it takes on a woman's life as well as her family to live through this.
Yeah, I think that the thing that I hope that people take away from this is that we can have the hard conversations together and we can give voice to what might before have been silenced. My experience is that a lot of breast cancer campaigns are almost infused with this toxic positivity where it's like, you got this, go girl, you got this. But the issues that we are addressing in these groups of performances are based in the real experiences of women like Jessica, who are really speaking, I think, in a much more nuanced and truthful manner, and that's what made it challenging and exciting to bring these stories to life.
Right, and what a unique way of communicating. These women who are living with metastatic breast cancer, kudos to you for creating this realistic view to open this dialogue right up. You captured Jessica's powerful message. So Jessica, share with us what your challenges are with your body image and intimacy and why you decided to discuss this very personal topic.
A lot of the challenges, so I think of my, 4 years here journey with metastatic breast cancer it truly is a roller coaster. I know that can be like a cliche saying, but it really is, even with your body image, because some months you might not have any hair, then all of a sudden you have to go through the awkwardness of like hair growing back, and like it's really hard to like feel sexy or to want to get intimate when like you don't exactly look like your old self. So it's like you have to learn how to navigate that. Your friends, your partner can tell you, oh, it doesn't matter, you look beautiful, but it's hard. I mean, you're looking at yourself and you look like somebody took like a pencil eraser, or I got probably more scars than I can count at this point. So it's, I want to make sure that we're talking about that and like how I'm learning to navigate through this. And a big part of your healing and figuring out is talking about it. So I just really want women and anybody who's experiencing metastatic breast cancer to know that you're not alone, and some days are going to be better than others.
All right, Jessica, so share some other themes you communicate that resonate with your personal experience and the emotional toll of your day-to-day life with metastatic breast cancer.
Yeah, so some of the other themes that we talk about is how do we balance our diagnosis with our career, with being a mother. A lot of people will talk about death and dying. I personally tend not to like to discuss that because I like to think that I'm going to live till 102 still. But it is, metastatic breast cancer, it's an emotional toll. I explain to people, it's like I wear a backpack. I'm always wearing a backpack, whether I'm sleeping or awake. And sometimes my backpack has a 1 pound weight in it, and sometimes it has a 100-pound weight in it. So it's like, that's really going to depend on how good I'm feeling about myself, how intimate I may or may not want to get. And that can change sometimes it changes by the hour.
I think you're tremendously brave. So tell us why you think it's so important to open up the unspoken aspects of this experience of living with MBC, whether you're a young mom, an older woman, a professional executive, or a retired woman that just was diagnosed with MBC. All these women have a different story, and it needs to be told like your experience.
Yeah, well, if I'm not talking about it, and who is? We've got enough emotions and feelings, and just we have to have so much energy every day to legit get through every day. I like to say sorry a little bit more than the typical person. So if I'm not, I just really honestly feel like if I'm not talking about it and I'm not opening up and I'm not talking about the dirty truth, then who is? And if we don't talk about things, then like another emotional toll.
All right, Cynthia, tell us where our viewers can find more information on your work with MBC Unspoken.
More information about this topic, including Jessica's story and the stories of the other women, can be found at mbcunspoken.com.
Thank you so much, Cynthia and Jessica, for sharing the unspoken realities of living with metastatic breast cancer. And so much good luck to both of you.
Thank you so much.
Travel is on the rebound in 2023, and farewell to the past 3 long years of national, state, and local challenges brought on by COVID. A new AAA survey finds 52% of U.S. adults are just as likely or more likely to consider taking a cruise vacation than they were before the pandemic. Joining us this morning with travel tips, top destinations, and how Norwegian Cruise Line is helping travelers sail away in 2023 is cruise and travel expert and editor-in-chief of Cruise Critic, Colleen McDaniel. Good morning, Colleen.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me today.
Colleen, you have a true passion for traveling by water throughout the world. sharing your firsthand experiences and cruise reviews with Cruise Critic readers and media outlets. What should people be thinking about before planning their next cruise vacation?
Well, first of all, people should know that cruising is a really great value. And we're actually seeing that value gap grow when compared with land vacations, which, let's be honest, are just getting a little bit more expensive all the time. Cruising includes your meals, your accommodations, your entertainment, and your transportation. So it takes you from port to port, place to place. You wake up somewhere new every day, and yet your home base is this gorgeous ship, and you get to be there night after night. And cruising can really take you almost anywhere in the world. We're hearing from our readers that they have a growing desire to hit those bucket list destinations. So if you're considering cruising overseas, consider Norwegian Prima. The ship debuted last year, and Cruise Critics editors named it the best new cruise ship of 2022, in part because it has terrific entertainment, amazing dining, and a world-class spa. And, well, can't we all use a little bit of that self-care right now?
Absolutely. And the AAA survey found 80% of Americans report high degrees of excitement about travel this year, with 79% already having trips planned in the next several months. So what travel tips do you have to decrease the stress of travel planning?
Well, my number one tip is always do your research. So visit sites like cruisecritic.com, where you can read reviews from real cruisers, and you can get expert tips and hacks for your traveling to really help you feel like you're securing that great cruise. We also recommend that you actually don't start with price, that you really find the cruise line or cruise ship that matches your personality and interests. And once you find that, that'll help you pick your destination. So head on over to the cruise line website and familiarize yourself with the destinations and itineraries. For example, Norwegian sails to nearly 400 destinations worldwide, and you can visit the site and check out the itineraries to really help you plan that dream trip.
What cruise destinations offer themes like lovers' getaways for Valentine's that may be geared for more adult itineraries at port destinations? How does one book the right cruise that matches their particular interest and that time of year?
Well, that's a terrific question, and I mentioned you can do your research by checking out websites, but also know what destinations are kind of hot right now. And we are hearing from people that they are actually looking for those longer trips. That 1 week just isn't enough anymore. And while the Caribbean is a great place, and Miamians know that, hey, you can get to the Caribbean fairly easy from just down the road. Alaska is really hot right now. And this is honestly one of my favorite destinations. You talk about a little bit romance. Well, you can't cruise to Alaska in February, but you can book it in February. And Alaska could be all about romance. Now, if you want something a little bit more exotic, you can head overseas. And a lot of people love the Mediterranean for many terrific reasons. But what's really having its day right now is Northern Europe. And when I'm talking Northern Europe, I'm talking about Greenland, Iceland, the British Isles, and even France. I talked a little bit about Norwegian Prima already, but its sister ship Viva is actually debuting in Europe this summer and is going to be offering sailings there. Norwegian actually has 10 ships in Europe, so there's all sorts of options and choice for people who are cruising there. And if you're interested in Viva, Viva actually debuts in Miami December 6th, so you get a chance to see it from your home port.
What are some important factors for travelers to consider when booking a Norwegian cruise vacation? For example, connections from air flights to ports, or booking a hotel that's close to the port. Florida roads are crowded, and travel time is the worst during peak tourist season now. So share some tips on avoiding connection travel adversities.
Absolutely. So, if you are local, hey, you're in a little bit better position than those of us who have to fly through airports. So a couple of tips we always give to people, though, is one, arrive at least 1, maybe even 2 days ahead of your vacation, which is great for a place like Miami, because who doesn't want to spend a couple extra days at the beginning of their cruise in Miami? But that ensures that you will make it to your ship on time, even if there are unforeseen delays that you cannot can't do anything about. Additionally, we also plan to tell people that they should consider travel insurance. This is a worst case scenario, but you want to make sure you're covered in case something goes wrong.
You named a number of hot destinations. So what are the most popular destinations that are booking right now for travelers this winter?
Well, it's no surprise. The Caribbean is the #1 destination that U.S. travelers are booking right now. This is a great destination, and cruise lines really, really have it nailed. They know how to do the Caribbean, and they know how to do it well. Norwegian, for example, has newer ships, Norwegian Encore, Bliss, and Joy, sailing 7-night Caribbean itineraries. And they also get you to the private island of Great Stirrup Cay, which is this chance to sort of get a great beach break in a very relaxing atmosphere. For more information on Norwegian's new ships and itineraries, they can visit ncl.com. And for great cruise reviews and expert advice, please visit cruisecritic.com.
Thank you so much, Colleen, for sharing a variety of experiences ashore to explore our dream vacation cruise.
Proactive prevention of disease is a function of both the primary care physician and the individual working together to ensure the individual stays healthy and has a good quality of life. Also, to identify the beginning of a disease, example cancer, diabetes, heart disease, early detection increases the chances of a complete cure or a maintenance program for the individual patient. To learn more on how to achieve a greater quality of health through preventive medicine, contact us at Infinity Healthcare Group in Broward at 954-586-8058. You need to schedule your annual wellness exam. It is so important. It is the baseline of your health.
A new year creates a clean slate to live a forward-looking life. Hope is essential to those who face a life-changing serious healthcare diagnosis, or for those that are facing devastating effects of alcohol use disorder. Hope is essential to get past our fears by facing reality head-on to overcome everyday physical or emotional challenges. Hope is taking the time to de-stress and enjoy any part of your environment, or reward yourself by planning a dream vacation that allows you to enjoy a new experience in life. Because with hope, anything is possible. Share with us your hope to rethink happiness in life in 2023 at facebook.com/Rose Lee Show. And follow us on Instagram at The Rose Lee Show. And watch this episode and many others 24/7 at roseleearchershow.com. Thanks so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you in the new year soon.